Evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so happy that you are here, and I am especially excited this evening to bring you one of the most glittering members of what I call the Knitterati, Miss Trisha Malcolm. For those of you who don't know, she was at the helm of Vogue Knitting for more than a decade, and she is now executive brand strategist for Rowan Yarns. And she is the genius who is able to look at the runway shows and kind of call those trends out and present, kind of the best of everything that is being shown on runways around the world. So I'm super excited to have her here. And if you'll give me just a second, I will bring her up. Hi, Amelia. Hi, Enig. It's nice to see you, and thanks for joining me. All right. Hi, Trisha. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Ellen. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
I'm happy to be here.
So we are looking at fall, winter 21, 22. Oh, my goodness. Can you even believe?
I know. And the shows are already, or the collections are already being presented for spring for 22. So it's crazy. And even Rowan's working on spring 22 and starting to plan autumn, winter 22, 23.
So what is it, a year and a half you work ahead?
Pretty much, yeah. About that.
My. Wow. Mm-hmm. So were the shows live? Did you travel at all this year? Have you seen anything?
No, I haven't traveled. I took one work trip to Chicago recently, and that's it. That's all I've done in the last year and a half. So it was interesting to travel again, but no traveling. But what's really happened in the world of fashion is, it used to pretty much be runways, and they were great, and they're exciting. There's always a massive wait. They're always annoying too, But the really interesting thing that's happened is once lockdown started, the designers had to present their collections, but without a runway. So as we go through the photos that are all from the collections, you'll see almost no runway at all. But what you will see is really interesting elements of photography. So people have sort of faked runways or faked the look of a runway. Like someone did a shoot that looked like was, in a long thing, like a long corridor at an airport, just to have that look of a runway. And so it's really interesting. And other people went outside and got really sort of fantastical in nature. And, so there's been a really interesting shift. And I find it really creative. And I think, before the designer just had to create the garments, but now they've got to create everything else, the elements around it too, whether that's very simple, whether it's complex. And it's really cool. And some of them are just doing little snaps of video. I saw coming for spring. So if you can go, onto the Vogue runway app, and you hit some of the shows, it'll be, as you go through, you just click and it's like a little video to show you that garment moving and then stops. It's kind of like cool. A little mini TikTok. Yeah, it's really cool.
It is interesting how, I always say, and I'm sure you do as well, that limitations are what forces creativity.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
and this is a perfect example.
Yeah, when you have to make do with some limited something or something's taken away. It's kind of like Chopped, I don't know if you watch Chopped. You have to use gummy bears in your sauce.
Oh, really?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get it. Yep.
So can you tell us what shape pants are going to be in style for the fall? My big question every year. Are they bell bottoms? Are they wide leg? What are we seeing?
In all honesty, I'm seeing the wide leg thing that's, been around in the high waists. It's definitely continued. And then the waist is starting to drop again.
Oh my.
I know. I'm so happy when we finally got back to a high waist. But anyway, now.
Nobody asked us, did they?
No, they didn't. So I think it's all going to be fine,
Yeah. So Trisha is going to present tonight a presentation that she's going to do later on at Vogue Knitting Live. So you guys get to see it first. So isn't that exciting? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, you have the thing ready to go and queued up and everything? All right. So I think this will work this way. How are we going to make that work? Can you make that go?
I am.
This is a thing that we probably should have figured out ahead of time.
Oh, no, instead of chit-chatting like we were.
There we go.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Perfect. Brilliant.
I just need to play it. This will take a minute because it's such a big file.
That's fine.
Well, not so much of a minute.
Right. Yes, as Kathy said, we are the in crowd. That's right. Whoop, did it just go away?
Yes.
Why did it go away?
Right. No. Do you see it now?
No, it just went away. It was here. But
I don't know. Do you see it?
No. What did you do before? Did you share your screen?
Yeah.
Try that again.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to share again.
Yep. There it is. Brilliant.
Okay.
Yep. All good.
All right.
Yay.
Now, if I play it from the start, I hope it's going to not disappear on you again, though.
It just went away again.
Now do you see it?
No, it just went away.
So you don't see anything?
There.
Huh. All right. Well, we really should have tried this beforehand.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
I'm going to try one other thing.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just try it one more time? Because what I've done is it was on a monitor, and now I'm going to try it on my main computer. See if that works. Okay, so we have it there, yeah?
Yes. Perfect.
And may work better this way.
That looks good. That looks like it's going. Oh.
Okay.
Thank you guys for your patience.
Yes, I am sorry. Okay, so let's start talking about. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's start talking about color trends. Okay.
Yes.
So these are the Pantone trends for autumn winter, and so these are the colors. So they pulled these from New York Fashion Week. So some really interesting things. Brown is becoming much more important. The blues have kind of toned down. Like this was a much brighter cerulean blue last year. This was paler, and now it's sort of gotten more grayish. This is like a really blue purple. Red is very important. I saw a lot of that coming, and a lot of this rusty color, which we saw coming in last year too. Then we're going to yellow, and this is one of the pairs of color for the year. You know, we have the illuminating yellow and then the gray cloudy sort of color. Green's very important, and it looks really fresh right now. But the most important color of the season is this one.
Which one?
The fuchsia. Can you not see my pointer?
No.
Okay.
Maybe I can.
Right.
Yes. All right. Yes, that fuchsia. Oh, I'm all about that.
Yes. Right. Perfect. So that's a color that we're definitely going to see a lot of. And then the pale pink continues. You know, we've gone through millennial pink and rose gold, and now we're at this sort of romantic sort of pink, which is really pretty.
I love it.
Yeah. So then they give us the core classic colors. So ultimate gray, that's the second one. That's part of the pair that are the color of the year. Then we've got a winter white, which there usually is. And then this soybean color is kind of replacing camel, which I found interesting. I'm not sure how much I love it. It's a bit too yellow for me for a basic. And then I love the olive. I think that's like a really great basic color. And looks good with so many others, especially red.
That's a nice olive too. It's not too yellowy.
Agree. Absolutely. Yep. So then let's go through and look at the key pieces and the key trends. The first one, and I think the most important one, is the vest. So a few weeks ago, the New York Times did a big style section thing about vests because there are so many of them out there. And this is what they had to say. And then here's some versions. Now, there are so many I could show you, so I just picked a couple that I thought were more interesting for people to look at knitting-wise. And then when I looked at what's coming up for Rowan for autumn, winter, there's a lot of vests there as well. And there's one that's almost the same as this. And it's not like they've seen each other, but it's just, we're all sort of heading in the same trend direction. Also notice this lovely skirt here. And we'll see more about that later.
With the tweed?
Yeah. Now, these I put in together here because they reminded me of when we first got space dyed yarns, and they did the really heavy sort of striping. And I thought that was really interesting to see that sort of coming back. And you'll also see more of that too. Okay, on the left, I love this vest because it reminds me of Kid Silk Haze.
The yellow and white one, the yellow and gray one.
Yeah, it's so ethereal. It's just lovely. And then stripes, I pulled all these stripes together because, stripes always work. Then we've got sort of more classical vest on the left. And the one on the right I really like because it's more like it's almost like a poncho vest. It's got a really nice shape to it.
That's easy to knit and easy to wear.
Exactly. The one on the left is, also pretty standard, but I like the one on the right and the way, because this person's obviously a tailor, they've pin tucked the vest, like they're sewing it and it's on the wrong side.
That's a woven, right?
No, that's a knit. But
really?
These are darts.
Oh,
see, they're like darts on the inside of a garment.
Right.
And they've sort of, crossed over. And I thought that shows a great sense of humor or a sense of something,
Yes, absolutely. That's brilliant.
Yes. Here's some more colorwork versions. Okay, let's start looking at sweaters. These big oversized sweaters continue, big turtlenecks, loose, these sort of fold you and hold you and keep you feeling like great. Sweaters with that same sort of space dye effect going on. On the left, it's a little bit of a hippie vibe, actually, both of these. The one on the right is from Anna Swee, and I love that sort of big needle knit and the way that's, just like a hand paint that she's found. Here's another version in the pink over there. And then the one on the right, we're going to see a lot more of this too, this whole sort of fuzzy look. And I do want to mention too, we've got a new yarn coming from Rowan for the fall, and it has that same fuzzy effect. It is tweeded, but it sort of has that effect, and it's really, really lovely. So that's something that is really fun to look forward to. Some more sweaters. The neckline on the left, we're seeing a lot more of that. And then look at the one on the right with that opening, and then those puffy cuffs are still a thing. Again, more brushed looks.
Mm-hmm. Look at that intarsia. That was interesting.
Yes, right? Yeah.
It's very Annie Blatt.
It does, doesn't it? Modern
yes.
Annie Blatt. Yeah. So that's from Brunello Cucinelli, who I think that company does the best knitwear out there.
Yeah.
They really do. But last year Rowan bought in that sort of wool, I can't even think of the name of it.
It was like soft boucle?
Yes, I thought that could look really lovely. And
that would be great. Oh, wouldn't that be fun? What a brilliant idea.
Yeah, it'd be very nice.
Mm-hmm.
These were from the same designer. And I just thought they were interesting. The play of colors interesting, and then using fringe, and then, using this I-cord to sort of weave through some cables. Some texture, and again, that sort of mild look. It's really interesting. And I really like the shape of that sweater and the way those colors play off each other.
Mm-hmm.
On the left, very retro. And you see this striped sporty look around the neck?
Yes.
Okay, so I said to you before I was starting to look at spring, there's a lot of that for spring. And I put the one in there on the right because to me, I want that sweater just because it's comfortable, it's oversized, and I think that sort of speaks a lot for, where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Little bits of lace and cables. Stitch work's always important. There's your high-waisted pants.
Thank you.
Now, normally I don't look at menswear shows. I look only at women's wear. But last year I was having a conversation with Annie and Carlos, and they were talking to me about what they saw in the menswear shows. So this year I actually bit the bullet and I did men as well. And it was so fascinating because I found some really cool stuff. I like these because they're very wearable, which you don't expect from Isabel Laurent, and I just like that sort of the plain colors, and I just think they're really striking, and also if you like something like this, it's really easy to take a pattern that you already have and just stripe it or, color block it like the one on the left. So it's nice to be inspired.
That's the kind of sweater you get for your boyfriend, or you knit for your boyfriend, and then you just take it.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yep. Okay, let's look at some cardigans. There are a lot of cardis this year. I was saying that red's really important. So these were some really lovely examples of red that I found. Now, the one on the right, that's what I call the new twin set. It's the crop top, it's the big cozy cardi, and then obviously she's got the scarf and the hat to match. And then on the left, it's the same look, but with a, like a fabric top underneath. But it's this whole sort of layer piece and this whole sort of cropped little, almost like a bralette thing underneath. And you'll see a lot more of that too. I thought these were sort of very knitterly. This one on the left combines, we've got fisherman's ribs, then we've got, this sort of lace and cable panel, and then, you've got this marling on the arm. I thought that was really interesting. And I like the clash of the black and white on the right as well. I thought that was really nice. And that's something, again, you could take any cardigan pattern you love and just do that. It's really fun.
You have to think about that. That's a brilliant idea. We don't think about doing the two sides of a cardigan differently, but it's no trouble.
No, and then you can split it down the back as well.
Right.
Just twist it in the center there and you're done. I was saying there's a lot of brush knits. Here we go again. And longer cardis. Oh, and then we get into the really long cardis. Look at these.
I love those. That is soft boucle all over, right?
Yep, but you'll probably want to do them in the new Rowan brush tweed that's coming in the fall.
Yes.
And
there is a great,
there is a great, it's called Horizon, this great simple cardigan. It doesn't have any buttons or anything. It's just, it's kind of like the blue one in the center here, but a little bit shorter, but obviously you can make it any length you want. And it just is like that, and you just wear it, and it's super easy. These are both from Brunello Cucinelli, and, I just love the stitch work. I love the color work. And they always put sequins in some of every season, there's always sequins somewhere. And look how lovely they look there.
It's subtle, though.
Subtle, but because the sweater's so beautiful, it doesn't take away, and it kind of enhances. Now, coming up in the fall, we have issue 70 for Rowan. And the theme for the 70th anniversary is platinum. So what Rowan did was they got paired with DMC, who's part of the same company that owns us, and they took these filament threads, right? And they've combined some of these metallic filaments into the garments. And this reminds me of that. It's very much, taking that metallic and sort of bringing it through. Now, have a look here. We've got this sort of, again, the little cropped bralette top underneath. But I thought this was interesting, using a jacket as a shirt and then the cardi as the jacket.
That looks great. That's such a cool sort of, menswear, Annie Hall almost,
Yeah, yep. And then over here on the right, same thing. The jacket sort of tucked into the pants.
Great look.
Yep. Here's some more long cardis. This show, Elder Statesman, we're going to see more from there. It's like they went to a farmhouse and filmed the people at the farm and just covered them in nets. And then the ones on the right are very sort of elegant and comfy.
I love those.
Yeah. Then more long cardis, again, more of that sort of bralette look. These, I think the one on the right's from Missoni, and it's that space dye look. And then I'm guessing that's Missoni on the left. Yep. and it's also, got that really mild look happening. Some really long coats. And this, I think, the texture is so lovely. This will be a great piece to do in big wool. And then to wrap that big, huge scarf over the top of it just is lovely. And then there's underneath the cardi, she's got a sweater as well. I think it's just the ultimate in gorgeous warmth,
Your head to toe knit thing.
Exactly. So let's look now at Pajama, which is exactly that. So here we are on the farm again with these people basically covered in knitting. Isn't it fabulous?
It is. And I see what you're saying about the set, the photography and the setting and the background. And yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. Here we've got this guy again in another sort of outfit with the vest and the pants. And, he's going about his business there. Again, it's all just pajama. Now, this shoot, the one on the right where it says field research, again, covered in knits. And this was actually at a marijuana growing facility where they shot, which was really interesting. But you can see the look of emulating the runway here too.
Right.
Whereas then we look at the designer on the left, just went out to the backyard, essentially. So it's interesting how, people got creative or just did what they did, All right, let's look at the knit suit because, again, this is kind of like pajama, but it's just a little bit more sort of grown up, I guess is the term. Okay, so head to toe knits, double pieces. And this was that rusty color that we saw in the Pantone colors.
Right, flare pants.
Yeah, flare pants are there, yep. Oh, yeah. Little top and skirt sets. And then obviously the one on the right with the lovely yellow cardi over the top, which is wonderful.
Who is that?
Who is
the designer on that yellow one? That looks sort of Chanel-y kind of.
It could be. I'm not sure. I am not sure. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The way the app works now, you to make it faster than screen sharing or screen shooting everything, you can just tap, but it doesn't tell you who the designer is anymore.
No, it's okay.
So some of these I have the designer on because I took them before I realized the app would do that. But anyway, again, more head to toe knits, totally covered. More. I love this chunky piece on the right. This set, right? So nice.
And brown.
Yes. Yep. On the right, you've got the skirt, you've got the jacket, and you've got the the crop sort of lingerie top again. And I love this piece on the left. It's like they went to Vegas to shoot.
That one on the right reminds me of something from Kim Hargreaves' last book. The one where she had the little tube top and the sweater.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And there is a lot of that around. There really is. So much of it. Here we've got more just head to toe knitting. Again, that mild look is really important. The skirt suit on the left, and then this guy on the right in this sort of really, rich setting and with this, really cool costume. Okay, let's look at dresses. On the right, we've got that big chunky dress that matches the suit that we saw. Some really nice ribs. Lots of really interesting things. And again, we've got that furry, fuzzy yarn look.
It's light, it's lighter yarn, obviously. So you can make a whole dress and not feel like you're wearing a, rug.
Absolutely. And that's the technology we have now. The advances in yarns in the last 20 years have been amazing,
I think we need a knit along with this one on the right.
Right?
Who's in?
And make the underwear as well.
Absolutely.
These are reminding me of Kid Silk Haze, so I quite like these.
It's beautiful.
Yep. Just some more examples. And have a look here. She's wearing a hood on the left. We'll see some more hood looks later. These remind me of being shot in the streets of Italy. But I just love the simplicity of just it's like a sweater that's grown,
Mm-hmm.
And then the girl, excuse me. Thank you. The girl on the left, she's got her matching bag, but she's also got her matching shoes. I thought that was clever, just to take a pair of slides and,
cover them in knit.
Yep, exactly. This sort of butterfly look is kind of cool. And we've been seeing that for a little while now because it's that sort of lingerie top look. that's continuing to be a trend. I lumped these all into this thing called clever construction because they're just interesting, and they made me look and think, wow, someone's really thought about it. So before we talk about the sweaters, have a look here how they've emulated a runway.
Yes, that is so creative.
Isn't it? It looks great. And I think the knitwear is really interesting too. Like, I love the way that dress is twisted on the left. And then this sort of all this loop stitch, in contrast to the ribs, and the ribs going in different directions. And then on the right, the jacket, the way that's constructed is really lovely. And then the way the skirt's folded and then, like buttoned in place. And I thought they were really sort of clever. And then here's more from the same designer. I was really blown away. I wish I could remember who it was. But all this texture is just beautiful. And then on the right, I love that they've taken strips of knitting and then braided them and then, cabled them on. But look at that, both those skirts too. I don't know if you're a sewer, but
I love that. I mean, it looks like the one on the right, like you said, is just a piece of fabric that they've stretched in all the right ways. I mean, you could just make a big ribbed rectangle and wrap it around yourself. Yeah,
and then put a button on, and it's great.
Or just a shawl pin.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So this one on the left is interesting, but the one shoulder thing's been around a little bit for the last 2 or 3 seasons. But I thought this was an interesting take on it, and I like the way that there's an extra piece around the waist there, and I love that skirt too. I'm talking a lot about the skirts today. I love an asymmetrical skirt. I think that's really nice. And then the way the construction is on the cardigan on the right makes those lapels just fall like that, and it gives it movement. I thought that was really interesting.
That's pretty.
There's a lot of this. We saw it last year too.
Right.
The
deconstructed, reconstructed thing.
Exactly. So that's definitely still happening. Now, see here, they've emulated a runway, but there's like there could be no people there, but they've darkened it, but it still has the look, yeah. I thought these were interesting also. So the one on the left, you can see there's a almost like a neckline around the waist. It's like it's been cut up and put back together. So I just thought they were both really interesting. This guy, Dion Lee, has been doing some cool stuff for a while. I just love the idea of taking the neck of a sweater and then making something else with it, and then using that same piece to, then become a part of a sweater.
That's cool.
Really cool. Yeah. I mean, none of us are probably going to wear it, but that doesn't matter. It's just cool to see it.
It's the idea, and you could put that on over something. You could have a simple little something, and then you put that on as an accessory. It doesn't have to be naked.
No, exactly.
Yeah, I like that. It's cool.
It would look great on a white shirt, for instance.
Right. That's neat.
Yeah, it's really neat. Then we've got these asymmetricals, which we seem to see every season. There's that green on the left that I was talking about before. If you look on the far right, you can see how they've used a long walkway to become the runway. You see that, how it looks like it's a runway?
Very clever.
Yeah. And then I thought this was really completely interesting and out there.
Quite so. What is your comment on that?
My comment is someone's kind of got a sense of humor, and they're quite clever with some knitting needles.
That's an exercise in short rows.
It is. There's your knit along.
Okay. We'll do it in pink kid cell case.
Right. Okay, let's have a look at some Fair Isle, because there's a lot of that around. I love the colors here and the playing them off the plaids. I think it looks really fresh. I love this. So talking pajama, at this show, and they actually had a show, because you can see there's actual people there with their masks on. They actually put their knitwear over pajamas, and I thought that was really rather fun.
Yeah, because who hasn't done that? You get up in the morning and you just put on your sweater, because that's the kind of sweater you want,
Exactly. That's exactly right. And they're great sweaters. I really love them.
Those are beautiful.
Yep. So then we've got this Scandi look here, sort of really Scandi sporty. Now the piece on the left, when the fall season, the fall season starts for Rowan, oh God, I think it's November 1st, actually. I think there's a bit of a delay. But Arnie and Carlos are coming out with their own yarn this season.
Right.
And it's this wonderful, wonderful Norwegian wool. And it's not scratchy like you kind of, like I think some people are going to expect it to be sort of a little harsh, but it was spun in Italy and it has this wonderful softness to it, but it holds up really well. And a lot of the designs that they've done for this yarn, they've gone very traditional Norwegian. So you're going to see patterning like that piece on the left. And there's some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful pieces there. They're really gorgeous. And then on the right, we've got that, Scandi, yoke look. And it's like they've combined a yoke then with the star motif, It's almost like an Icelandic yoke with a Norwegian star.
Right.
So really interesting. Some more sort of color work.
That one on the left is great.
Isn't it fabulous?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's the same company. See, they've done the same thing. It's the Icelandic and the combo. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
See that.
Yep. I love the colors in this. I thought they looked really beautiful. So rich and nice. Oh, sorry.
Oh, and that's the close-up. Thank you for showing this because I was having a hard time figuring out what was in the front, and I see now it's a backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a doll or what is that?
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is that yoke, see, that's sewn on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Which I guess makes sense. Well, it is cheating because, but you know something? I mean, I forget which company it is now, but my guess is they've done this for the show, but when it's actually produced, it will be done properly.
I'm sure you're right.
Yeah. And then on the right there, again, we've got those sort of rich browns and black with cream, and I think they just look really, really nice. Here's some more nice examples. The ones on the left, I thought combining the ferrule with the cables was really fun. We've got another yoke on the right there. And some more sort of extreme color work. It's obviously machine knit, but it's again on the right, head to toe. She's got the socks to match the whole thing.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
This looks very Arn and Carlos.
Yeah. Yeah, this kind of reminded me a little bit more of the Cowichan stuff from Canada. Do you know what I mean by that?
Not exactly.
Okay, it's traditional Canadian patterning, like particularly the one on the right, and then the sort of bands on the green one. They use like a thick roving yarn. Anyway, it sort of reminds me of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
It does look very Canadian with that maple leaf motif and the bear and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it does say Canada on there. Bright. Yeah. I'm a little slow sometimes. Sorry.
That's okay. I put that on there.
Oh, good.
I thought these were interesting too because it's using colorwork knitting but combining it with garments. So it's that recycle, restyle. And then ferrule from the wrong side and sort of, kind of deconstructed, constructed. And here was another shoot that I thought was really fun. They shot this in this sort of kitschy kind of house, and the sweaters were all kitschy. All the stuff here in this show was kitschy. So it was really fun. So we'll see more of that in a few minutes. Ferrules, and see how they've used this industrial space to look like it's a runway again.
That looks great.
Yeah. Now these are inspired by Sanquois knitting. And if you're not familiar with Sanquois knitting, that comes from a very specific region in Scotland. And they're these very small motifs, and they usually make gloves with them.
How do you spell that?
Sanquar. I think there's an H in there somewhere too. But it's definitely worth looking up. And the one on the left has taken these tiny motifs. They're about an inch square, most of them, some of them even tinier, depending on the yarn. And they're repeated, but what the one on the left's done is sort of blown that up to a bigger scale, which is really interesting.
That is cool. I love the idea of, taking these very traditional heritage styles and celebrating them,
Yes, agree. I do too, and I think that's what's wonderful about knitting is we have so much to draw from. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Yeah. All right, let's look at Argyles, which have been around, quite a bit in the last few years, but some sort of interesting takes on them there. And I thought this was cool. This is like an animal print, but they've actually overstitched it to look like it's an Argyle.
I like that.
That's cool, right? And then they've got little beads hanging off the ends. I thought that was rather clever. Then we've got our Argyle pajamas over here, which are nice enough you can leave the house with us.
You don't have to go to Walmart.
No. So some intarsia. So we've got these picture nets, which I think are really interesting.
Is intarsia having a moment? It kind of fell off for a bit there, but
yeah. I know at Vogue Knitting Live that intarsia classes are some of their best-selling classes.
Really?
Yeah. So people are kind of getting less afraid of it and more into it.
Yeah.
So this is a good way to start intarsia. Just sort of section off, block off a portion of a sweater, and get used to the technique. Now, the one on the left, does that remind you of Kay Fassett's
Absolutely.
shawl?
You know, that
Yes.
the one that he did with the book that he did with Zoe, where he put the black and white motif kind of in the gusset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that what you were talking about, or the other one?
And I was talking about the one, oh, no, I was talking about the other one. Okay, yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. And when I showed this, Kay loved that sweater on the right. But no, the one on the left, remember last year the Kids Silk Haze, no, not the Kids Silk Haze, the new felted tweed colors he did?
Yes.
And he did a wrap in stripes just like that.
Right. Yes, I do remember that. But I was so struck by that black and white, which is it's such a great contrast to, the very detailed color work.
Yes. Yeah, and it's very Kay. You're absolutely right. Some florals. Now, I do have to say, Kay is bringing out a whole book of florals in the fall. And
so
they're
excited.
Stunning. They're so stunning. So you are going to have to start doing some intarsia classes, I think.
Well, we do have one for the retreat and after, so that's very cool.
Perfect. Yep. Excellent. Some more intarsia that, just is interesting, colorful.
I love that pop of yellow on the bottom, that at the hem of that last one. Isn't that cute in the center? It just makes it all pop.
Yes, exactly. And it takes it into a more modern realm too, which I think is lovely. I don't know why we've got dinosaurs here, but that was odd. So I thought, oh, well, let's put them in. I love the bouffant hair on the right there. I think that's really kind of fun.
There's a lot of playfulness, it seems.
Yes.
In this collection of yarns or projects not projects, but do you know what I mean? These trends, there just seems to be a continuing theme of playfulness.
Yes, absolutely. And there's more to come. Even here, look at these animal prints all gone.
Love that.
Playful. These are all from Missoni, and it's like they've taken this one sweater and then recolored it. And it's just, it's kind of like taking the way that yarn colors when you knit with the
pooling.
Yes, the pooling. And they've made the pooling the design element. And I love the textured sleeves. I think they've done some really interesting stuff with that. Here we are in Glam World again. Got some interesting geometric, very 80s looks. And here we are back with our, our kitsch house. Little matching picture sweaters.
I think that's great. It's almost like, is that a little dog in a bed? Or is that an ice cream sundae? I can't see.
Ice cream sundae.
Okay. I need to put my glasses on, Trisha. Oh, yes, ice cream sundae. God, I'm blonde.
And pajamas.
Yeah.
Wearing them with pajamas. I think it's
very
really
fun.
Cute. Yep. So designers always love stripes. It's a really big thing in the fashion world. They're really good at it. They have fun with color. So I've just pulled a few stripes to show you. The one on the left I like because of the texture. I probably wouldn't want to knit it, but it would be fun to knit.
What is that texture in there? Is that like something in between? Oh my gosh, yes, quite a lot.
Quite a lot going on there. And the one on the right, I thought the colors were cool. And I love the way there's just that one little bit of green and one little bit of black playing off those brights. So some more sort of fun stripy stuff. There's your tip of yellow there in the center again too.
So nice.
Yeah. Yep, more stripes. And then here's that same pooling again going on. It looks really interesting.
Yeah.
And then we've got a little punk here with our stripes and sort of preppy punk on the left there.
Look at that hair thing.
I know, isn't that wild?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, all three head pieces are pretty interesting.
Quite something.
Yep. Okay, checkerboards showed up. So checkerboards like the one on the left, but also the window pane look. And I thought that was quite amusing too on the right, to take a window pane and actually put a scene outside. So you've got the house and the path and, you know, the tree and things. Window panes and checkerboards again. Now, here's the one I was telling you about. Well, the one on the left is the marijuana processing facility. The one on the right here, see how it's like in an airport?
Yes.
And it really gives you that sense of runway.
It really does. That's a great sweater. That's actually something you might knit and wear.
Yeah. And again, you take any sweater pattern, chart it out, and, you know, and those colors are lovely too. I love the taupe and the black.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. A little more checkerboarding. And window
shorts. Look at those shorts, booty shorts.
Yep, absolutely. And then I love this checkerboarding, but then actually playing with the geometry of it. I think it looks really cool. And again, those brushed yarns are really important, and vests. Some more. And then let's look at ribs, because there's, I don't know what it is, but fashion designers love like a brioche / fisherman's rib. And I like the neck on this one, the way that sort of comes really into the center, and these sort of puffy sort of bracelet length sleeves I think are really fun too. And this one, it's like, you know, the sleeves are unseamed, so it has that poncho take. Some more versions. I like these shapes.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're nice.
I actually like that one with the unseamed sleeves. That's really interesting.
Oh, there, yeah.
It's just such a little thing.
Yeah. Well, last year there was a lot of those. Yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, just don't seam it up and then just wear it. So again, some ribs, and I loved seeing mistake rib here on the right, because you don't normally see that. So that was cool. And then talking about people having fun, the shot in the center, that entire photo shoot is of this girl clearly on a green screen. And then they've taken scenes from Paris and put them in behind her at a smaller scale.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's so clever. And, you know, they did it in such a way that it didn't look like they were trying to make her look like she was there. You know what I mean? They were very obviously and self-consciously superimposing her.
Yes, because she, you know, she shot by herself in the studio, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we do have a runway on the left, which I thought was interesting. That was in Asia somewhere. And they must have been in a good state, you know, to be able to do that. The sweater on the right is interesting too, because that sort of shape, these sort of drop shoulders and then coming into a nipped waist and then these big sleeves is definitely, you know, a fashion statement right now. Some more with fringe. Okay, let's take a look at some cables. This is a really interesting brand, and they do beautiful menswear. Really, really stunning nets for men. And their spring nets that I saw are really, really lovely too. You know, more cables. Then, you know, this whole puffy sleeve thing that we've been seeing a little bit of. It's there on the left. And see again how that's a wider sweater and it narrows into the waist.
Do you think the puffy sleeves are here to stay?
No. No, I wouldn't get too carried away with knitting them. You'll pull them out in a year or two and then sort of knit a new sleeve that's straight. Sort of the punk look there on the left. And then on the right, there's that sporty sweater that we're definitely seeing coming up a lot in the spring. Okay, some more cables. I like the sort of color blocking of the guy's sweater. I thought that was really rather interesting. And those natural shades. Sweaters combined with fabric on the left and the right. And then that sort of sporty stripe again, but then juxtaposed with that really frilly skirt. This one, it was a designer from England, and it looks like she's done a photo shoot for Rowan, right?
It does. Very aspirational.
Yeah, I know. It's lovely. Now, just some, you know, interesting cables here on the right, but the one on the left is, you know, that asymmetrical. But have a look at that photo shoot. That's a fake backdrop, yeah?
Yeah.
And then they brought in trees and rocks and fake snow to create a snow scene, which is rather interesting to do. Oversized cables here on the left look lovely. That's a very Martin Story kind of look to me. And then I loved on the right how someone's taken some cable fabric and then actually sewn it onto these pants and then taken more sort of knit fabric and covered the hat.
That's great.
That's really cool. Yeah. Okay, so more cables. And more. And look at the one, on the left, it's so oversized. And then the boucle in the center. And then we've got that marling happening on the right. Well, of course, it's Missoni. Okay, the one on the left has, cables that are woven through. And then on the right, there's that neckline I was talking about before.
Like the polo neck?
Yeah, with the zip. And I love this photo shoot. So this is obviously in New York. They've gone and taken just a white background and put it with the scenery behind it and then the garments against the white background. And it was a really effective looking, shoot. And obviously you can do it outside and it's safe and all that sort of stuff. But you've got to remember these things were all shot. God, I'd have to think about
March or something, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Right, on the left here, we've got some pearls. Then we've got a little bit of glitz here on the right. And then these split color cables looked interesting. I'd never seen it done with stripes before, so that was kind of cool. Flowers, definitely a thing. There's our marijuana facility with the marijuana growing. I mean, I just thought it was rather amusing that that's what they did. I mean, it's really funny.
But the lighting's good,
The lighting's excellent. Yep. That piece on the left has got interesting texture and embroidery and, cool sort of motifs. And the guy on the right there, he's back at the farm, with the family, with the older mum and dad.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And then we're at someone else's sort of house in the country here on the left, and you can see there's Monopoly all over the floor. So there's it was their oh my God, we're in lockdown. But look at those cherries, and I just thought they were fun, and they look really fresh. I mean, I know they're a little bit 80s, but they look really nice right now. And then, Kaif also loved this giant, giant pansies. He thought they were fabulous. Okay, there's a bit of bowling around. That's been around for a few seasons, still here. This is another big trend, the new punk, Gen Z. And it's interesting. And we've seen sort of little bits of that as we've been going through. Another one there with the, fun furry kind of yarn.
Is fun fur coming back, Trisha?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so, too.
Oh, dear, I hope not. Oh, dear. Anyway. Okay, so neon is huge. And I find it very optimistic to see a lot of neon around right now. And then here's the one that you're going to love.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, it's really fun. Ponchos. Now, the one on the left was actually in the New York Times. And the designer partnered with the UN and actually had the pieces knit and then had them sent to places, where people actually embroider, and had them being embroidered by embroidery people, artisans, in poorer countries. I'm not sure if I'm saying that politically correctly, but you get what I mean, yeah?
I do.
But I think
artisanal work.
Exactly. And I think it's just beautiful.
It is.
And
I love the collaboration idea.
Yeah, I think that's really nice too. And it gives women work in countries where they may not be able to have work at that point,
Mm-hmm.
And on the right, this was an interesting photo shoot. It's like they went to Coachella and they were the only ones there. So it was really hippy-dippy and it was really quite fun. So you've got all these braids hanging off this poncho and then you've got the cassette player that's been yarn bobbed. So that was fun.
Talk about retro.
Yeah, right. Okay, so here we have sort of a little short poncho on the left here, and then the poncho on the right that's sort of, it's almost like a shrug / poncho, and then it's got the little, hood as well. Some other examples. So this one on the left, it's like the poncho is sewn into the sweater, which is really, interesting. And then the one on the right, they again had a little sense of humor, and they took the bags and like blew them up. But I thought the poncho construction was interesting.
Yeah, no, that's very cool.
Yep. Now this is one of the biggest trends, and we have a fabulously gorgeous one coming from Ani and Carlos in November that you'll see. This whole kind of tabard thing. And they're great. I love them, firstly, because I hate to knit a sleeve, let alone a second sleeve. But they're really easy, and you can take any kind of body to any sort of sweater, and you can either leave them open, you can tie them at side, or you can seam them like underneath.
It sort of gets rid of that awkward side piece when you have an excessively drop-shouldered sweater.
Yes, it truly does. And there were lots and lots of them. So you can take them. They're kind of like in partnership with the vest trend. So they're almost vests, but not quite. And then these versions with the hoods, I think are really cool. Oh, and Prada just came out with one for the spring too, which looks amazing. So, there's going to be a lot of them. So on the right there, you can see the snow scene again.
Yes, same designer, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this one.
Look at those baubles.
Yeah, aren't they cool? I don't think they're actually bubbles. It's like how you take those, say, 5 stitches and you knit back and forth until it's long enough.
Yes.
Yep. All right, let's quickly look at some accessories. A lot of striped scarves, which is fun and a great project, to try out some different yarns or use up your stash, or, they're fun projects.
Yeah, playful.
Yeah, exactly. And I like the one on the left, how it sort of tapers down to almost nothing, and then it's got a little fringy bit on the end.
Mm-hmm.
Some other scarves. Again, that tapered one on the left.
They're long, it looks like, and oversized.
Yeah,
generally.
Exactly.
That next one, it looks like a perfect big wool project.
Sorry. Yes, doesn't it? Yeah, and that stitch is really sort of spongy looking stitch. I can see it in my head. I'd like to try that out with big wool, because it would give it more depth, rather than if it's just stockinette. And again, the black, white, and brown, I think it looks really nice. And here's just a great basic scarf. So it's good to see these on the runway too, or saying on the runway in the collections, because it makes people think about scarves again. And just, it's great for beginners. And that someone has sat at home because so many people were knitting during lockdown, and that's someone's lockdown project. Yeah.
Right. Maybe they just learned it's a garter stitch scarf, and they just
Exactly. And that restaurant is open and alive and well now.
What is it? Cafe?
It's called cafe. It says cafeteria on the top. It's a little New York restaurant I like to go to.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was fun. Some cows were around on the left and the right. That's from Missoni. As you can see, they're playing with those mull downs. Then we've got the really simple little rib one in the center, which is great. Again, it's someone's, project during lockdown. Then we've got some more elaborate cows, with some really interesting stitch work. And more of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, right?
Yeah, it's about the fabric, the texture, the luxe quality of you could just feel it,
Yeah, exactly. It's lovely, really lovely. And then the hood factor.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of hoods. And you've got these this is a designer called Tom Brown, who I'm really kind of into, because it's all this sort of fancy menswear stuff, but with such a sense of humor. It's really interesting. Like the bag in the center there is great.
Yeah, is that a little sheep, or what is that? Little dog?
That's a little dog, yeah.
It's a dog. It's cute.
Yeah. Some more hats.
Striped hats.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep. And then actually the one on the left is made up of sections. And Erica Knight has a collection coming out called Pebble Island within the new yarn called Pebble Island. And she's actually got some hats that are constructed like that to use up leftover yarn because she hates to waste the yarn. But yeah, those hats are fabulous. I'd like to actually knit some of them. They're really fun. And then we had these sort of helmety hats again, sometimes with the long streamers and sometimes, around the neck and sometimes open, really interesting.
That's got your planned pooling in the middle there.
Yes, it does. It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Interesting. Yep. Okay, and there's another version. There was just a lot of them around, even though that one's not knit. Okay, this reminds me of the TV show Dairy Girls. I don't know if you've seen that.
Very sweet, yes.
Yeah. And then here's, again, a little bit of sense of humor there at Burberry on the left, which you don't expect from them.
They're sort of buttoned up, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So that was cool. And then this might have been Christian Dior. No, it's actually knit lace, but so many of the guys, and this is Christian Dior men's show, and so many of them had these hats on.
Wow.
Which is really interesting. It's cool. And then back to the, this sort of menswear thing where they've all got their hats on, where they've just purchased hats and covered them. And then see also how important the vest is here. And I love these vintage fabrics. I think they're beautiful. Excuse me, like to have that trench coat in vintage fabric is just really lovely. Lots of socks, which is cool. Okay, let's talk about comfort. Coming out of lockdown, I saw a lot of stuff that really was comforting and comfortable. Yeah. So here are these pieces, with these sort of toys. So someone, clearly has learned to knit toys during lockdown and sort of played with it and had some fun. I think that's really lovely,
We didn't take ourselves so seriously. We weren't going into the office, we were just at home with our toys and our stuffed animals and whatnot.
Exactly. And then on the left here, we've got the yarn bombing again. But look on the right, someone's made all these toys and then just pinned them onto someone's outfit. And then they're out in that sort of Coachella-y desert thing again. Or they're both shot in the same shoot. But I thought it was just lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And then this sort of having hands at the end of your scarf, or, on your sweater. Again, it's just a little tongue-in-cheek. And this I put in because I just thought it was so beautiful. This is like a really traditional net counterpane that someone's like dyed, and it's probably someone's old bedspread, and it was used as the backdrop for an entire collection.
I see.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah, with a little bit of ruching in there.
Yeah. Yep.
Very pretty.
Very pretty. Then the thing that was really interesting about comfort was we saw people carrying blankets. And blankets that match their clothes.
How very Erica Knight. Like we saw that in the spring collection from Rowan.
Mm-hmm.
Putting the blanket on his skirt.
Yes. And then there's more. Erica's got more blankets coming in the fall as well.
So excited.
She's got this beautiful collection called Indoor. And there's a lovely, lovely, completely reversible blanket made up of, patchwork. Like it's all knit in one, but it's a patchwork blanket. Like the patchworky things we saw earlier. And it's so stunning. And there is a photo of this woman wearing it. It's just gorgeous. So that's great. And then these I love. This is definitely someone's lockdown project because, see, some of these squares are woven and some are knit.
Mm-hmm. And
then they're all sort of, that's like 2 knit-alongs there. That's one's done. Anyway, I thought that was really a really interesting thing. And then back to the farm, this beautiful, beautiful granny square Afghan.
Stash project.
Exactly. And then worn over, his knit pajamas.
Because of course he has.
Of course. And that's what we have. That's it.
Oh my goodness. How totally fun is that? You must have so much fun doing these.
I do. I love it. I really love it.
So do we have any questions for Trisha? I know you guys have been writing your comments all through, but did anybody have anything that sort of stuck out to them or struck a chord that you love the look of? I love the playful nature of it. I mean, fashion sometimes takes itself so seriously. And it was really nice to see that this was just a little more chill, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. It was really
Yeah.
nice.
Good,
Yep.
good.
And there's a lot of net too. And I love it when there's a lot of net because um, it says comfort to people. And it says comfort when it's in stores, and it puts knitting in people's minds. And the more knitting in people's minds, the more knitting that actually goes on.
Yes, exactly. You know, I'm on a mission to show the world that knitting is fabulous and fashionable and chic and all that stuff. And it's great to have a partner in that area. But
Yep.
all right, so we have a couple new comments. Let's see. Amelia. Asymmetrical hems. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Let's see. What about trends, types of fiber?
Okay, so mohair and brushed yarns are definitely trending. What else have I seen? Oh, another thing I'm seeing is sort of, we're bringing it out at Rowan, but other companies I know are doing the same thing. It's this whole traceable yarn. So it's pure wool fibers. So we're bringing out a yarn that is actually grown on one of the 750 islands of the Falkland Islands. And there's this one island, there's one farm there. There's the farmer and his wife and their dog, and a few thousand sheep basically. And it's completely traceable. Like, we can tell you the name of the dog. That's how well we know where this yarn's from. And it's very unusual for you to be able to buy a yarn and knowing exactly where it's grown and be able to trace it right from its source, right through the production process. So it actually ships from the Falkland Islands to England, and then it's spun in Yorkshire. And then, I mean, that's quickly, and it's carbon footprint lowered way that we could possibly do it. I'm not saying that properly. But it goes straight from one to the other, and then from there straight to your store. Well, it comes to our warehouse in the US and then goes straight to the store. So it's a very low carbon footprint because so for instance, a lot of merino might be grown in New Zealand, and then it might go to Italy, and then it might, other things sort of happen along the way.
Gets dyed one place and spun another place, and processed and finished. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And I think it is really nice. There's something to being able to see with your own eyes that these sheep are being handled carefully, and that the purchase of a fiber like this means, food on the table for this small scale farmer, rather than just, contributing to the industrial machine of fast fashion.
Exactly.
So, I love that. I love that so much.
And in terms of other types of fiber, I'm not seeing anything that's unusual. But what we're seeing is more and more sort of chainette construction and this sort of brushed look. I would say the brushed look is the biggest trend.
Mohair used to be so big, and then it went you could hardly give it away. Do you know what I mean? Like worsted weight mohair. Classic Elite had a mohair that I thought was beautiful, and then when it was done, it was just like fun for
Legrand. Remember
Legrand mohair? Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, one of my first sweaters in that. Someone's saying here they've only seen the traceability for small hobby farms. Yes, with the name of the alpacas on the tag. Yeah, absolutely. And so it was a real challenge for a big company like Rowan to actually be able to do exactly the same thing. So we bought all of their wool for the last 2 years, I think, and we've had it sitting in Yorkshire, waiting for it to have enough to actually make enough yarn to then launch this new yarn with. So it means next season we'll be buying all of their yarn again. So we buy their entire clip. So no one else in the world has this yarn except us. And then that will be the yarn that will then dye to fill in as stores reorder.
Very
so it's
cool.
Kind of interesting.
So I did order that.
Oh, good. I think it's really lovely yarn. It's beautiful.
I'm excited.
On my desk, yeah.
So Terry says she likes, I think she's saying that she liked the Missoni look.
Yes.
That's very good.
What's not to like? Missoni are amazing.
They really.
Every season.
Really. And Prada too, I think.
Yeah.
Always big with the knitwear.
Now, if anyone's looking or interested in looking at previous seasons, if you go onto Vogue.com, there's a tab called Runway, and you could go to Missoni, for instance, and then they will have listed there every season that's, in however many years. And you could actually sit there with a glass of wine and your mouse and just go through, look after look and just bathe in Missoni, basically.
I liked it. They used to, I don't know if they still do. I haven't been there in a while, but they had like an autoplay function. So you can have your knitting and you can just watch.
Yeah.
It's quite the rabbit hole.
Yep. And there's some designers like, definitely Missoni. Look at Brunello Cucinelli because they do amazing knits.
I wrote that down, and I wrote down Elder Statesman.
Yes.
So those are good. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you so very much for being here. It's just always a pleasure to see the knitwear world through your eyes. We are just so grateful that you do watch all this stuff and see it and kind of put it together and make sense of it. There's a lot of information out there, and what you do is you bring intelligence to it. So I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you guys joining us tonight. So, so it's been fun. And next, don't forget, tomorrow night, I'm doing a special live presentation to answer your questions about the membership site. I'm going to run through what that is and what's included and what it means. And if you have any questions, join me and ask them there. Or if you have one you want to email to me ahead of time, I'll be happy to put that into the presentation. And then we have something else fabulous next week. I don't have at my fingertips what it is, but we will be here. So until then, happy knitting. Good night.